Good morning, guys, from Diani, Kenya. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about something very quickly. It's been something on my mind, and today you wouldn't believe it, but I had someone ask me about, my relocation to Kenya, right? Because they couldn't understand why I would move from America to Kenya. And it hit me and it made me think about it for the first time. Why would someone uproot their life, a very comfortable life at that? Multiple homes, a phenomenal job. I was a tenure track professor. I've worked in big tech prior to that, making well over $200,000 a year. I mean, a very, very stable life. I mean, I had a high rise condo that overlooked the entire Philadelphia skyline. Why would someone leave that type of life, that comfort, that ease, and relocate to a world that is, in many ways completely brand new, completely different? Why would someone, basically throw that away? And I had a Kenyan that asked me that question, and it forced me to think about a number of different things. If you're new here, my name's Elijah Adi, and ultimately I have one ultimate goal, and that's to move everybody back to Africa. When we think about Africa, we typically think about 99 cents a day. We think about how, there's no food. We think about Western propaganda. We think about a place that is underdeveloped. We think about a place that, has no roads, no hospitals, all those different things. But I'm here to tell you that ultimately it's all a lie and it's all propaganda. And Africa has everything and more. There's tons of opportunities in Africa. Africa has roads. Africa has hospitals. Africa has schools. Africa has all of the luxuries and benefits that you will find in America. The only difference is you don't know that exists because your mind has been so focused on the propaganda and all the negative aspects of Africa that you've never been able to think about Africa through a different lens. So if you're new here, I ask that you kindly like, share, subscribe, and comment below on one, what you think your perception of Africa is, and two, what are you hoping to get from this channel? What information are you hoping to pick up? Because I would love to be able to share it with you. Let me get back to the story, guys, and it's a beautiful day. Let me just show you a little bit around. Let me just show you guys. Look at that. Look at that. It's a very beautiful day. Anyway, guys, so the question is, why would you relocate? Why would you leave a life of comfort, a life of ease? And I think that's part of the issue, because far too often we're living a life of comfort and we're living a life of ease, and we're never actually challenging ourselves to think better, to do better, to envision better. And it just allows us to become trapped. There were a couple of different things that pushed this relocation, right? And it wasn't so much about the ease and about the comfort as much as it was America's becoming a vastly different place than it once was. I mean, you think about America over the last 10 years in comparison to even over the last 15, 20, it's a drastically different place. And everybody can say the reasons why, right? We could talk about the cost of living in terms of how groceries, bills have gone up, right? We can talk about how the cost of housing has gone up. We can talk about how jobs and salaries.
Elijah Adi, back to Africa. Elijah, and Adi, back home. Adi, back to the roots run deep. Elijah, Adi, back to Africa. Elijah, and Adi, back home now. Elijah, Adi,
and things like that aren't making adequate pace with the demands of bills and expenses and things like that. We can talk about all those different things, right? We could talk about how racism and discrimination and all those different things are becoming more prevalent in American society, and we all know why, right? We all know why. We know who's in the White House. We know who's causing and really spearheading a lot of that racism. We could talk about those different things, right? We could talk about how there's been attacks on DEI. We can talk about how there's been attacks on basically anything that's considered other, right? Anything considered black, right, has been under attack. That plays a part on people's psyche, right? Whether people know it or not, whether people acknowledge it or not, that plays a part on people's psyche. That plays a part on people's perceptions of themselves. It plays a part on people's mental health. It plays a part on people's ability to be able to, just live peacefully. All right. Coming into, 34, that was one of the key things I wanted to think about. I wanted to think about what would it look like to live a life that was a little bit more peaceful. What would it look like to live a life that wasn't just inundated with politics and current events all the time? Whether you are involved with politics or not throughout America, it hits you so often and it hits you so much. It's hard to really avoid it, right? And all those things play a part on, one, how you see the world, two, how you perceive others. And that doesn't help you, live a life where you feel optimistic, hopeful, engaged about the future. If anything, the current state of America forces you to, it's kind of depressing, right? We got to talk honestly. It makes you depressed, right? And, I have friends that have moved from Africa to America, and they would say, look, Lavelle, look, Elijah, I never knew that mental health was a thing before I came to America. And now I understand it completely, because, it's not like, in Africa, you're not going to get punched in the face, right? Yeah, and I'm not talking figuratively, although you could figuratively get punched in the face, although here is very peaceful. It's not so much that you'll get punched in the face figuratively. It's about more so navigating through those constant obstacles over and over and over again. So that's the part of it that makes it a little bit different, right? When you think about those different things, those are going to be different things that you'll have to think of, that you'll have to navigate through, that you'll have to be able to kind of push past, all right? The other piece is thinking about, one, the food that you're eating, right? In terms of quality, in terms of whether it be the fruits, whether it be the vegetables, whether it be any of those different things. All of those different things play a part as well, all right? That's something that you want to think about. The other piece is the weather component, right? You got to think about the weather, all right? The weather in America, depending on where you're at, it's going to be cold. It's going to be chilly. You might be, that plays a part as well, in terms of, your mind. It's much lighter to be able to be somewhere where the weather's much warmer, much brighter. You feel much more healthier. You're eating foods that are a little bit more whole and organic as opposed to foods that are more processed. When you move to a new society, it's going to be brand new. Every part about it is going to be brand new. The people are going to be brand new. The things that are acceptable in terms of ethics are going to be brand new. The things that, are, accepted in terms of, etiquette and all those different things, every part of it will be completely brand new. But of course, if you can navigate through those things, that will make the transition, that will make the difficulty much easier, okay? Much, much, much easier as you kind of fizzle through. So people will say all the time, they'll say, well, what will you do for income? What will you do to be able to make money? And, the key thing is this, is if you're a hustler in America and you've been able to hustle enough to, make your coins and have enough to be able to pay your bills and all those different things, you'll figure out a way to do that, no matter where you go, all right? No matter where you go, you'll be able to figure out a way to do that, okay? The cost and demands that you'll have in America are going to be much different than the cost and demands that you would have here in Africa, right? Then there's 54 countries in Africa. I mean, there's 54. Each of those 54 have capital cities. They have urban areas. If they're coastal, they'll have beach areas. If they're not coastal, they'll have lake areas and all those different things. Each of them will be vastly different. Because they're all going to be vastly different, because they're all going to be very unique in their own way, all right, that means the cost and challenges that come along with those different things will, be different as well. So those are all things that you got to think about too. People will say, well, it's tremendously expensive, right? And, the key thing is that no matter where you go, no matter what you do, there's going to be some challenge around expenses, but, maybe you take that opportunity to think about what would it look like to have a convenience store? What would it look like to have a gas station? What would it look like to have a drive-through? What would it look like to have an Airbnb? What would it look like to buy land and have a farm? All those different things. But you have to get very, very, very creative. All right. The beautiful thing about America is there's a lot of comforts, right, that come along with it. And many times we can take those comforts and that convenience and things like that for granted. And that's the trade-off, right? Because if you want a life of comfort, if you want a life of ease, if you want a life where you don't have to think, all you have to do is just show up and work your 9 to 5 and drive down Broad Street or, Beach Drive each and every day and, just make it to work day in and day out and not think about anything, then you probably want to stick around in America. All right. But if you want a life where you want to be creative, you want to have a little bit more time to be able to think about different things and do different things, then you would want to consider Africa as a future, all right? People will say, well, what about hospitals, right? What about hospitals, right? Whenever you get a chance, you want to Google Tier 1 hospitals, you want to Google Tier 2 hospitals, you want to Google Tier 3 hospitals, okay? Those are all the different tiers of hospitals, all right? In America, Tier 1 is going to be considered the more premier, prestige, medical facilities. That means it's going to handle all major operations, good success rates, doctors that have been trained extremely well, all those different things. Look up the number of Tier 1 hospitals in the country that you want to relocate to. That's something that I did, all right? Tier 1 hospitals, Tier 2 hospitals, Tier 3 hospitals, because no matter where you go, you're going to want a strong medical infrastructure, all right? In terms of food, in terms of water source, all those different things. There's been a lot of lies about Africa not having water or not having roads and all those different things. Those things can't be further from the truth. In terms of roads, if you go to the Appalachian Mountains down in West Virginia, all right, there's going to be some roads that are going to be a little bumpy, all right? And those roads are going to be bumpy mainly because, those roads may have been private for some time. Those roads may be private. Or they may be public roads, but the government hasn't gotten around to paving those roads with asphalt because those roads don't lead to anything that's revenue generating or anything that's going to produce any type of tax base or anything like that. The same applies here, okay? There's going to be roads that are basically highway roads, main roads, all right? Not they have highways, okay? They have highway corridors and things like that will take you back and forth, left, right, up, down, because those things also transport goods. Think about imports, think about exports, think about all those different things, all right? Those things will exist, but in terms of back roads and things like that, those roads aren't going to be developed as much because those roads don't lead to anything that's going to be more so revenue generating, okay? But still, those roads carry cars, trucks, boaters, which are motorcycles. They still get around, okay? The roads just aren't asphalt. Some roads are going to be rocky, but it's not like you're going to be, walking or running in grass or anything like that. It's all a lie, all right? In terms of water source and things like that, water exists. Spring water exists. Mineral water exists. So, the question in the beginning was, why would you make the jump? And ultimately, the answer is why not? I want you to look something up, and I'm going to drop a link below, and it's called The True Size Of. And basically what it is it shows you the true size of Africa, all right? And you put Africa into a map, okay? And when you put Africa into a map, you're then able to put different states, different countries, all into it to see how it fits. The maps that we have been looking at have been distorted, all right? And it shows Africa much smaller than what it really is. It's actually much bigger than that, but we don't believe that because ultimately we have been told that it's much smaller than it is, and we use the map called the Makota map, all right? And I want you to compare map sizes. I want you to put in your home state into a country in Africa and then see how it kind of matches up, and then do the comparison and things like that from there, and then you'll be able to see it, and then you'll be able to take a look, and then you let me know, okay? You let me know, one, what the size is, two, how surprising it is, And three, when you think about that, what do you think about in terms of opportunity? What do you think about in terms of just vastness, right? Because when you look at the Mercator map says one thing, all right? And that map is going to be a little bit smaller. It's going to be a little bit shallower, all right? And then when you go to the true size of, and then you match it up 1 to 1, and then you put it in, I want you to let me know what you see, all right? And you'll be surprised, all right? And you'll be just as surprised ultimately as I was. When you see that and then you make your comparison, I want you to think about, okay, now that you know it's double, triple, quadruple the size, what do you think about in terms of opportunity? All right. So if something, if it's double, triple, quadruple the size, that means that there's going to be vast amounts of land that is going to be underdeveloped. Okay. And if you have vast amounts of land that's underdeveloped, that means ultimately you're going to have vast amounts of land that's going to be priced fairly. Okay. If you have land that's going to be priced fairly, that means you have land that ultimately, if you have the means to be able to purchase it, you'll be able to purchase it and then develop it yourself. So people will say, look, LaBelle, you know, Africa is not developed, blah, 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 blah. Okay, well, do the work of developing it. All right, come back home. Come back home to the motherland. You bitch, you complain so much about America. You bitch and complain so much about the government, the party that's in power right now and things like that. Come to Africa. Come back home. Look, I have a relocation guide below. Check it out. If you're new here, my name is Elijah Adi. Ultimately, I have one goal. That's to move everybody back to Africa. I'm going to continue on to part 2. In this video right here, I talked a little bit about the hospitals, the roads, the infrastructure. People will say that Africa has no internet, but how could Africa have no internet? And I'm doing this right here from Africa. But like anywhere, look, it's going to be an adjustment. It's going to be brand new. There's going to be challenges. There's going to be things that you have to learn. Challenge yourself to work through that. Okay, people will say, well, I remember, some Americans will say, well, I need hot water, each and every shower. And they do have hot water here. Okay, don't get it twisted. They have hot water. Everything that they have in America, they have here. But learn to take a damn shower without hot water. Learn to take it with cold water, lukewarm water. And you'll be surprised, because when you take showers with cold water, when you take it with lukewarm water, what that does for your mental health, your cortisol, all those different things in terms of being able to calm you. The other thing is, the pace of speed here is much slower. Okay. African time is a real thing. People don't move as fast. Okay. Things don't go as quickly. The days are much more lax. Challenge yourself, push yourself to adjust to that, to get acclimated to that. Challenge yourself to slow down and stop comparing everything to America. People bitch and they complain so much about parts of American society that are oppressive and all those different things. Okay, now's your chance to be able to develop your home, because until Africa is respected, the melanated people of the world will never be respected. We must develop the homeland. We must develop the motherland. And you have an opportunity to do that. So if this is your first time ever hearing this message, if this is your first time having anyone talk you through this or share with you the opportunities that Africa presents, then it's my absolute pleasure. But consider it to be your home. There's major corporations and companies that are making their way to Africa. I mean, there's many things that are happening, not to mention 1/3 of the population is under the age of like 25. So the population is vastly young, very young. So, by 2050, they're saying like 50 to 60% of Africa's population is going to be like under the age of 18 or something, or under the age of 30. When you have a youthful population like that, when you have an engaging population like that, that's going to lead to transformative change. So I'm going to drop another video in the future about this. Let me know what else you want to learn about Africa in terms of groceries and things like that. They have grocery stores. They have supermarkets. I have a gym membership. You know what I mean? I go to cafes and coffee shops. They have all those different things. They got restaurants. They got bars. They got nightclubs. They have everything that you need. The other thing is, in terms of nightlife and things like that, there's a lot of nightlife, right? There's going to be a lot of chicks looking for dudes. There's going to be a lot of dudes looking for chicks. And blah, 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 blah. All those things exist too. You just got to check it out. Look, my email's below. My WhatsApp below. Don't hesitate to drop me a question or anything about what you're thinking, how you're feeling, or anything like that. Look, guys, it's a beautiful, 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 Beautiful day in Africa. I'm out of here, y'all. Don't forget to like, share, comment below. Let me know what you think. Peace.